Hello. What do you think about the dichotomy, equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome? And what does the short story Harrison Bergeron have to say about this? Well, I promised a special video about this subject. Here it is. By the way, this video is part of a three-part series about the 1961 short story Harrison Bergeron. In order to fully understand the references I make, I recommend that you watch the first video, the one in which I summarize the plot and make a review of the story. Putting it in simple terms, equality of opportunity provides in a sense that all start the race of life at the same time. Equality of outcome attempts to ensure that everyone finishes at the same time. Those who defend equality of opportunity want to make sure the most talented runners win, while the people who advocate equality of outcomes say not everybody starts the race in the same place and that the competition is not fair for those left behind. Equality of opportunity is mostly seen as associated with right-wing political ideology, whereas equality of outcome is typically promoted by the left wing. Harrison Bergeron is a simplistic, though effective, criticism of equality of outcome in the form of a satire. The story doesn't say anything about how opportunities are given or whether there's gender and ethnic equality, but based on the spirit of the story, I'd say everything must be equal, even those. Let's see what professionals have to say about equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome. The links are in the description. This guy, Patrick, posted this on LinkedIn. Equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome. One of the problems facing society today is the mistaken idea that everyone needs to be equal. Anywhere you go, you will hear people complain about the lack of diversity at a company, in politics, universities, etc. Or you will hear about the wage gap and how men are paid more than women. The myth that everyone is equal in all things ignores the fact that there is a difference between equality of opportunity and equality of outcome. Equality of opportunity is the idea that everyone should get a fair shot. Someone should not miss out on getting hired to a position they are qualified for because of their race, gender, etc. However, this is not the same as saying that a company must hire an equal amount of women and men or a certain amount of minorities for any given position. Equality of outcome misses or ignores the fact that some people are more qualified for certain positions than others. Why should I, as a business leader, not hire the most qualified candidates for any position, regardless of their gender or ethnicity? Unfortunately, in today's society, the term equality has been hijacked to mean equality of outcome. Equality of outcome demands that everyone is regarded as equal. This is a fallacy. Everyone's not equal. We all have various strengths and weaknesses, and these differences should be celebrated, not ignored. The next generation of leaders should strive to promote equality of opportunity so that everyone is able to succeed in the opportunities they are best suited for, rather than be subjected to the illogical and fundamentally unsound ideology of equality of outcome. I think what Patrick said made perfect sense in the context of a company hiring people to fill out a specialized position. This is the reply written by Paula. How do you achieve equality of opportunities if a society is ridden with huge inequality? How can I, born into a poor family, maybe living with a single mom who's struggling to put food on the table, and maybe working 2 shifts, going to shit school in my area that will very unlikely allow me to access decent education with no money to pay for college. How can I have a fair shot? Employment equality is only the tip of the iceberg, and there is a long way to get there. This is why there cannot be equality of opportunity without equality of outcome. It was a good reply, and I recognize that a company also has a social role to play in the society of which it is part. However, I don't think it is the job of the company to fix all the problems of society and atone for all misfortunes that have befallen the life of the poor candidate. The following passage was published by author L.G.M. Curray. The link is in the description if you want to read the entire text. 20. Equality of opportunity and equality of outcome. From the Australian Achievement from Bondage to Freedom by L.G.M. Curray, 1996. Equality of opportunity in the sense of identical opportunity for all individuals is impossible. One child is born blind, another with sight. One child has parents deeply concerned about his welfare who provide a background of culture and understanding. Another has dissolute, improvident parents. Children at birth clearly do not have identical opportunities in relation to abilities or environment. Milton and Rose Friedman, Free to Choose, New York, 1980. What follows in the next paragraphs and the distinction drawn between equality of opportunity and equality of outcome owes much to the analysis of the Friedmans. Equality of opportunity is best expressed in the phrase, career open to talents. No arbitrary obstacles should prevent people from achieving those public positions which their talents fit and which their values lead them to seek. Neither birth, nationality, color, religion, sex, nor any other equivalent characteristic should determine the public opportunities that are open to a person, only talent and achievement. Thus, equality of opportunity simply spells out the concept of equality before the law, and it has meaning and importance precisely because people are different in their genetic and cultural characteristics, and hence both want to and can pursue different careers. It is important to note that such equality of opportunity does not present any conflict with freedom. Quite the opposite. Equality of opportunity and freedom are two facets of the same basic concept. Equality of outcome is a radically different concept. Equality of opportunity provides, in a sense, that all start the race of life at the same time. Equality of outcome attempts to ensure that everyone finishes at the same time. To slightly change what the dodo said in Alice in Wonderland, everybody must win and all must have prizes. That is the goal of radical socialism. Everyone must be a winner. Everyone must be equal. Socialists do not really point towards absolute equality, but they point to vague ideas of fairness and justice. This concept differs radically from the idea of equality of opportunity. Equality of opportunity provides scope for freedom and is in fact complementary to freedom. On the other hand, government measures to achieve fair shares for all reduce equality. Government attempts to promote equality by positive action and discrimination have many undesirable consequences. 3 consequences may be noted. 1. If rewards are based not on achievement and effort, but on fairness, what incentives is there to work? 2. Who is to decide on fairness? 3. What are the criteria of fairness? Again, that makes perfect sense to me. The 2 last questions give us something to think about. Who decides what is fair and what is not? I suppose the government. Of course, we all know how wise the government is. What criteria should they use for fairness? That's easy. Social and political pressure, whatever direction it takes. You can't go wrong with those. Well, this guy Ben wrote this blog inspired by the LGM Cure passage. Let's see what he has to say. Equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome. Lately, I've increasingly encountered arguments for equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome, which is usually shorthand for a bunch of nastier opinions held by people who don't think we should be aiming at a more inclusive society. As far as I can tell, this is largely due to the rising popularity of Jordan Peterson, a conservative pseudo-intellectual who is fast becoming the voice of unreconstructed dudes who like to complain about feminism. A good example of a distinction made between the two goes as follows. Equality of opportunity provides in a sense that all start the race of life at the same time. Equality of outcome attempts to ensure that everyone finishes at the same time. Painted as such, equality of outcome is an oppressive Harrison Bergeron idea. Everyone must be completely equal. That means we must suppress achievement. We must make everybody the same. Of course, nobody wants that at all. It's a disingenuous argument designed to avoid talking about systemic inequalities and to thwart efforts to correct the balance. In this fictitious world, for example, highly qualified male software engineers are being overlooked in favor of less qualified women engineers. And by using diversity and inclusion metrics to measure progress, we're erroneously baking in discrimination against highly qualified straight white men. At best, it's a half understanding of reality. At worst, it's a deliberate subversion of reality in order to maintain the status quo. The reality is that women and people from underrepresented backgrounds are being discriminated against. Sometimes this is overt and intentional. Open racism and sexism exist in depressingly large numbers. Beyond that, it's got a lot to do with who has traditionally had power and privilege. When 80 to 85% of jobs are landed through networking, the people whose networks contain more people with the ability to hire when in venture capital, it's considered bad form to reach out to an investor cold, a practice that I believe needs to change. Please, do pitch me cold. The people with more investors in their network will win. Who is going to do better from those systems? People whose ancestors were sold into slavery, who suffered racial oppression, who were persecuted for political reasons, who fled their countries, who hid aspects of their identities in order to survive, or people whose communities have enjoyed relative privilege for generations. So back to equality of outcome. We're not trying to create that Harrison Bergeron universe. Outcomes do matter and are logically inseparable from opportunities. Because we're talking about network effects and a society heavily based on who you know, the more diverse the networks, the better the opportunities for diverse individuals. And because we're talking about generational inequalities, the outcomes in one generation will affect the opportunities in the next. But outcomes also matter for another, even more fundamental reason. I strongly believe we should care about disadvantaged people in society. It's not enough to say that the market will take care of it when people are living on the street. or when the people of one nation are oppressed by the army of another to meet capitalist needs. Compassion for others is a core part of basic human decency. My impression is that the Curray's text supporting equality of opportunity provided solid arguments in very logical steps. Ben's text, on the other hand, uses inflammatory language and only emotional arguments. Feels sorry for the oppressed. Notice that he not even once talked about how the best candidate would be selected, as if qualifications didn't matter. He also failed to disclose who would implement these equalizing efforts and what criteria should be used. The oppressed people are just victims of society's injustice and have no agency. It is the job of the market to protect them. So if I have a mid-sized supermarket struggling to stay afloat and I'm looking for a competent manager, I should try to fix the problems of the world and thwart historical oppression instead. He says his idea is not to make real the oppressive reality of Harrison Bergeron, but he fails to understand the point of the story. The message is not, oh no, they are making everyone completely equal. The real message of the story is much more important than that. It is, oh no, the state is interfering in people's lives, enacting unfair and oppressive laws and making disastrous decisions because of ordinary people's complacency. And that's exactly what ends happening. Well, that's it for now. Which position do you favor, equality of opportunity or equality of outcome? Or do you think it is possible to equally achieve both? Write that in the comments and let's discuss. Remember to give this video a like or a dislike if you really feel you have to. And if you want to keep track of all the videos posted in this channel, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Next video will be analyzing a completely different short story. Goodbye. See you all then.